I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Good evening and welcome to my live stream. You're here to fight CPS and stop taking our children to CPS. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. I'm glad you found me. I'm found on Facebook fighting CPS. And there are many rooms on Facebook fighting CPS. I'm one of about 10 or 15. And I have 7 ones loaded. So if you're in one of those 7 rooms, you'll come here with your comments and so forth. I also have a YouTube that I broadcast, and that is right now I'm live, and I use StreamYard as the application. StreamYard is the application. So this is a warm welcome. I know many of you are new. There's my regulars. There are about 25 or 50 of you that come in. And not only are you all from the United States, but you're from around the world. I have over 21 countries that have texted in or even called in. I've had from Indonesia to Bangladesh to India to Saudi Arabia to Libya, then to the continent of Africa. I've had Liberia and then Sudan and then Rwanda and Mozambique, and then, of course, several of the provinces from South Africa. Then up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond in North America, I've had Canada with its 4 provinces. All 50 states, I've had someone from those states, and I've even including the District of Columbia. South of the border, I've had Mexico, and then in South America, I have Grenada. Then across the Pacific, I've had New Zealand, and then the land down under, Australia, and I've had 2 states there. So there's quite a group of people. It's about 900 or more people that I've talked to. They have something in common. They had a bad case with CPS, they're low income, and they're struggling. Some of them may not have a job, or some of them are homeless. Whatever the case, they're going through hard times. And it's sad because they're the people that need to help the most. Now, this thing I call the child protection system is government agencies all over the United States and every county and every state, and of course around the world. Now, in the United States, Congress mandated that a part of social service would be a watchdog for children. So they're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. And the neglect and abuse goes on all the time with children being hurt and being abused. There's no question about that. There's no question there are a lot of that. There's over 500,000 children being investigated right now, 500,000. And I know at least 900 or more of you have expressed your craziness doing within the system. And what I try to do is that I too was a victim of CPS. I try to relate what my dealings were to yours, and I've come up with 5 rules to go by that would really help your case. I wish I'd follow these rules because I don't think my children would have been stolen. And that's right. You hear me say these things. I had a negative CPS system in Orange County, California. And it was so bad that my children that weren't in danger were taken from me and my wife. So I'd like to get started with you all in the room. Now, there are 4 things you can do while you're in this room. 1, you can listen, take notes, and you can do emojis. I already have one. Thank you. And that was Lori Hiller. Lori's been in my podcast forever. I think she's been here all 16 months. And she's from Canada. And it was almost about a couple weeks ago, she finally was able to chat in this room. And it's taken her that many months, 15 months to finally do that. And I'm so proud of you doing that. She has a horrific bad case up in Canada. And I'm glad to see you, Lori, and thank you for the thumbs up. There's hearts you can send me. There's smiley faces. And, of course, you can send me stars. Please check below to follow me, or if you want me to notify when I'm on, check the notification button. But now I'd like to talk about the second way that you can interact in this podcast. In this live stream. I keep referring to it the wrong way. This is a live stream. It seems like for 15 months, no one told me I was talking about the wrong word. So, anyway, this is a live stream. And I'm glad that you're listening. There's a lot of you in the room that don't say anything that listens. That's fine. But if you want to um, text a comment or text a question, it should be about CPS. All I ask is you are courteous and kind, and your choice of words are very professional when you describe the question or the comment. We're in this room to respect one another. We're not here to disrespect. And if there's something wrong in this room that you'd like to talk about, I'll gladly talk to you about it. I'm very friendly. I am a loving dad, a father. I have 42 years of marriage experience, and I have 6 children that I have raised. So I have a lot of life skills. And unfortunately, 3 of my children were stolen into CPS. They were abused, and it was a terrible story. My CPS case was. In fact, I lost one of my family members because of CPS. I lost my home, and I lost my credit, and I can't even get work because they've been so bad in CPS, your background check when it comes around and so forth. But I do care, and a lot of people have come in here and thanked me for what I've shared with them, and they're a positive reinforcement that they will get their child back. I've heard from some nice stories, so I do know that what I talk about does work. Now, if you want to be a third thing you can do in this room besides texting messages, you can be a guest on my podcast. I'd love to have you as a guest. All you have to do is write into my show producer, Grace. She works very hard behind the scenes, and I thank her for what she does. Now, all you do is pick one of my 14 shows. I'm on every day of the week, twice a day, one in the morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on the west coast of California. Then at nighttime, I'm on at 7 p.m. on the west coast of California. They're 1-hour live streams. And you just pick one of the 14 ones when you write an email to Grace. Now, her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. She'll give you a link to go on StreamYard, which is the application I use when I broadcast on YouTube. If you fall off it, use the link again. It's good for the live stream. Now, she'll also tell you what you can say and not say on the live stream. There are certain rules. We don't like to express names, and of course, no profanity, no smoking or eating on the live stream. We're here to help one another. That's what this whole room is about. I have a lot of beautiful people that help with ideas and suggestions every time my live broadcast is on. So that is the third way. Now, the last way that you can interact in this live stream is to call me, Bob Pace, at 626-698-0990. That is my direct phone number, my office phone number. We use Vonage as the application. You don't have to load it, but you can call me, and it's on the internet, and we can talk like you normally talk on a phone. So if you want to talk instead of being a guest, or you want to talk instead of texting a message or a question, a comment, or whatever, I'm really happy to have you. One thing's benefit if you call in on my phone or you're a guest on the podcast, you'll get a free 15-minute time with Mr. Davis. Now, he's my attorney. He's an attorney that's well schooled in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. He's been fighting CPS for 39 years. He once was a foster child himself, so he knows how to navigate and fight CPS. And I want to thank him for what he does to all the parents and all the people he helps, because he has live streams too. He has office hours on Saturday at 10 o'clock where he'll answer questions from you guys. Then on the weekdays, he has office hours, and his office hours are on different times, different days. There are also other people like myself that do podcasts, and they try to help each other. There's a lot of them. So there's a lot of information you can gather, a lot of different style. Now, what I do is I talk about my case. I also prepared 5 rules that will help you in your case. If I followed those 5 rules, I never would have had my children stolen. You probably hear me say harsh words against CPS. I'm only talking about the rogue CPS, the ones that don't care about reunification, the one that thinks about only the money part of having your children in their custody. It's really tragic that there are government entities that do that. Now, I know right now our new government, they're trying to look into all the bad things, and hopefully the child protection system is one of them they look in there. Now, I call it the child protection system because every state, every county, everywhere, it will have different names. Now, I know in California, just 2 counties do with each other. Orange County, it's Child Protection Services, CPS. But in LA County, it's Department of Children and Family Services. In Prescott, Arizona, it's Department of Children's Services. In Richmond, Kentucky, it's the Cabinet. But when I say CPS, I mean all the child protection systems, all of them. And they are mandated in the United States to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Further, they're supposed to help you with food and shelter and clothing and transportation, also medical and education. And they're also supposed to get you a job. That's what they're supposed to do. And if they find it necessary to break apart the family and take your children, traffic your children into foster care is what I call it, they're supposed to do something called family reunification. But it's been hard doing family reunification because it takes about a year. And, Congress passed a law in 1994 that Bill Clinton signed into law. That's the Incentive Act. That's where they give additional money to child protection systems if they get the child adopted in foster care. It puts the reunification on the back burner because they say it takes too long. It takes about a year because a lot of the programs, whether it's domestic violence or alcohol or drug rehab, may take 12 months. The other classes, the parent classes, how to be a parent and those kinds of things may take 3 to 6 months. So you got to look at easily 1 to 3 years with your case if it goes that far. But what you need to do is don't let it go that far. You need to not let it go that far. Now, right now, we just have messages from some of the rooms, the 7 rooms that we have going here. The rooms are Fighting CPS, Stop Taking Our Children, Fight CPS, Stop Taking Our Children, Fight CPS, Taking Our Children. Why do we have 2 of the same rooms there? Fight CPS, Stop Taking. We got a 3rd one. Oh, okay. A 4th one. I guess the rooms now have changed. 5 of them. 6 of them. All of them say, Fight CPS, Stop Taking Our Children. There used to be rooms that said different things, but that's okay. There are 7 rooms, and I'm glad that you're here with them. So that's the live stream. And so I'm open to any kind of text questions or comments that I can help you. This is your room. This is your room to get the answers that maybe you can't afford an attorney to get an answer, or your attorney won't talk to you, or family and friends won't talk to you. You're dealing with an agency that's gone rogue in many places in the United States and in the world. It is really sad to hear about family members losing their children through no fault of their own. I mean, we've had extremely disasters. We had the hurricanes that flooded the East Coast, that washed homes down rivers, that they lost their homes. And after a period of 30 days, CPS is at the where the future doorstep was, asking the parents, "Where's your home? You're not taking care of your children. You're neglect," and they're taking the children. Same thing goes for the fires in California. And even though people are getting um, mobile homes or recreation vehicles on their driveways where they rebuild their homes, there's a lot of you out there that are being attacked by the agencies that their only interest is money. To them, it's $1 trillion business. Every month they have your child in to the age of 18, they get money. And in my case, they were getting $20,000 per child. With 3 children of mine that were taken, they were getting $60,000 a month. After special needs, the money doubles. The money doubles. So, with that being said, it's really, really important that that you or fight for having your children. And as I said, I've developed 5 rules, and they're quite simple. One of them is just get an attorney. If you get that attorney, he or she is a very valuable tool that will navigate CPS and get your child back. But the kind of attorney you need to get is the attorney that deals with juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. That's the kind of attorney you want. Hold on 1 second here. Let me see. Okay, I'm back. I have family. I'm broadcasting this from my home, and my son just came home, and I want to make sure he's got a bad eye infection. As you see, I'm not an attorney. I'm a family man, and as I say, I've been married a long time. I have a lot of life skills, and I've raised 6 children. Now, I'm open to anybody that'd like to call in, and my number is up, or to text me a comment or a question about CPS. And if you're from other parts of the United States, you're more than welcome. As I said, I got a diverse countries out there that too have problems with CPS. CPS, the child protection system is a worldwide entity that a lot of places have gotten out of hand. I've seen really horrible stories in England with all the problems there and so forth. So I'm just so happy that you found this room that I can help you. Because you can ask me things like, if you don't know what the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, I will tell you. You know how to file a 388 motion or what it is. How about a 160 hearing? There's many things that we can talk about. It's in your balls in your court. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. And one of my I have 5 rules. I go them really quickly and then I go in depth. One is you must get a professional attorney who is licensed in the area of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, who has fought CPS. That is the utmost importance. 2, you need to have your documents all online. You need to document everything. You need to get a notebook and put all your documents in there. And there's a real important page in there called the timeline incident log. It's a log of any incidents that have taken place, and you write down information. And then there is rule number 3, which is you do not open the door to police or social workers. Your home is your castle. There's been too many people have been shot point blank and killed by opening their door, let alone having a CPS worker or police come in and rummage through your house. You don't want to give them permission to let them in your home. Furthermore, you don't want to talk to them. You don't want to give them something to use against you. They're not your friend. They're not on your side. You have to be careful. They're fishing. They may not have enough goods on you. There may be false allegations, which a lot of lay people do. A lot of lay people give false allegations. The other kind of person that reports that are professionals, and they go through and they get trained how to recognize neglect and abuse. But these social workers will try to be your friend. The CPS system is corrupt in a lot of different areas. A lot of different areas. It is totally, totally bad. Now, I briefly said a notebook, keep all your documents. 3 is you don't answer the door, don't let them in, don't let them search your home, and don't give up your children. They have to have a good cause to take your child. That child's got to be in danger. If there's fighting going on, the child's caught between 2 people fighting over the child, then they will take the child. But if you're having an argument with your other, and the children upstairs are far away, that's between you and the person you have an argument. One thing I find out is that you should not argue in front of the children because it disturbs them. It hurts them. When they see both parents they love very much arguing, they don't quite understand it. So if you're going to argue, the best thing to do is to go outside and go for separate walks in different directions. Then come back and discuss it further. It's called a timeout. We give our children's timeouts. But that's the right way to diffuse it. Now, if you're outside and you encounter a social worker rummaging in your yard or trying to get in your house, you tell them, I'm sorry, this is private property. You need to leave. And if they have a warrant, you make sure you read the warrant. And it's very clearly, it's not a forged one or a copy one. There's a good warrant and a bad warrant. And to recognize a good warrant, I'll talk about that too. And if you do encounter them, be nice and courteous to police and social workers with the CPS, the Child Protection System. All you have to do is tell them that this involves a legal matter, and it's my constitutional right to have a lawyer represent me at all aspects of this legal matter. So you can tell them, hey, look, I need to get a hold of my attorney. We will meet with you. Can you give me your name and the phone number? That way you're not tendency to blow them off, but you're trying to work with them and try not to say anything. Then if you don't have an attorney, I would strongly recommend you get one, because fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. I know none of you are expert enough to open up your body cavity, pull out the heart, and work on the heart to try to repair it. The same thing goes for fighting CPS. They're very corrupt. They lie. They're not transparent. And these are the agencies that are the bad ones. I'm not talking about the good ones. There are good CPS systems, just like there's good foster care. But a lot of foster care is bad. Children are hurt and abused in foster care. They're hurt and abused in child protection systems. Now, there's something else called medical trafficking. That's where you bring your child into urgent care or into the emergency room of a hospital that has a traumatic experience, like maybe a finger's cut or they have a high fever, it's not getting better. Those kinds of things. You listen to what the doctor's saying, but be careful. There are case workers in every place now, and they listen in and eavesdrop, and then they think they got to take the child. You got to be careful about that. You don't want them to take the child. You don't want to. Furthermore, if you're a mother that's expecting, don't let them come into your room, the social workers or the police. You may think they have authority. Unless they have a warrant, they can't be in there, and they can't take your child at birth. I've heard of horror stories where they grab the child who is just born. That's wrong. The child needs a chance to bond with the mother and nurse. Those are important processes. You don't interrupt those. So you got to make sure when you reserve your room or you set up your child to have at the hospital, that you have on the list no social workers, no policemen on your list. Only family members and friends, or maybe you're just going to have your spouse there with you, or a girlfriend, or something along those lines. So watch the medical trafficking. Don't talk to social workers or police. Do not surrender your child. Now, rule number 4 is how to use the internet wisely. The internet is a powerful tool with so much information. Many of the things I'm talking about I found by researching the internet, and I wish I'd used it when I had my case. But it's very important that you phrase your search words, that it's in the right order and so forth. And I found out the best that works for me is you start off with the city. Now, if the city's small, like Athens, Georgia, you might want to go Athens, Atlanta, Georgia. So you may have to list 2 cities. Then you follow with the state. Now, if you're from another country, you're going to follow with your country. Then you use the letters CPS, the Child Protection System. It will awaken all kinds of things will pop up after that. Now, if you want to be more specific about the Child Protection System, you clarify what you're looking within the Child Protection System. The 388 motion, the 160 hearing, anything that you can qualify. And the information pops up, read it, and spend 60, 80 hours. You got to spend a lot of time researching your case and find out how to fight your case. And lastly, my rule 5 is to copy all your documents, put them in an envelope, and keep them with your notebook. Documents such as birth certificates of your children, their social security cards, your driver's license, your marriage license, the kids' report card grades, the medical records, the shot records, anything that is important there, you make copies, put it in an envelope or a folder, and keep it with your notebook. That way, if something comes up, a lot of times they say the father is the prenuptial father, meaning presumed father. But if you show a marriage license and you show a birth certificate, that proves that that father is in there. And we got it very important to make sure that both parents are involved, because of both parents, it's been proven that the biological parents are the best ones to raise the children. So I've talked about my rules, some of them more in depth and so forth, but I'm really open for your comments and questions. And I usually see my regulars in here, but tonight they may be taking time off. They may have other things. But I had some good people this morning, and of course, last night. It was good. It was good. Now, we talked a little bit about something called the Core's Digest. Core's Digest is a forum where they ask questions, and primarily it's geared to CPS. And I like reading some of the questions because it makes you think. So let me go ahead and see. Okay, one just popped up. And the question is, what is the process for Children Protective Services? Taking children from their homes, and how can the parents get their children back? Now, this was answered by Emma, who has over 10 years studying CPS after they took her 2 kids. And this was answered in January. Here's her answer. What the process for Children Protection Services taking children from their homes, and how can the parents get their children back? The process is one which CPS does what they want, but they seem to do the same thing for the most part. With every family they ruin, first they'll try and come to the home of the family in which they receive the anonymous phone call about. They'll tell the family they need to come into their home. The family has every right to tell them no to coming into the home. then once the CPS workers hear the answer no, they don't stop there. They will tell the parents that they have a warrant, so they must open the door. That is false information. They necessarily don't have a warrant. They did not leave a warrant. If they did, they wouldn't be still standing outside the home. They'd already be inside. The best thing for parents to do is to ask them to leave the so-called warrant at their door, and they will look it over and get back to them once they read it. This will upset the caseworker because he or she knows she does not hold a warrant in her hands. And after telling a few more lies to try and get into the home, they'll finally leave. Never let them in your home. And I emphasize that. Too many people have been killed. And with CPS cases, they see things they'll use against you. If you already have let them in, it's as if you gave them your signature to take your child away and take you to court, whether you are instantly guilty until proven innocent. You see, when a complaint comes in from a layperson or a professional, right away CPS thinks you're guilty. They think you're guilty. Until you're proven innocent. Were you initially guilty until proven innocent? It's very hard to prove you're innocent in a corrupt family courtroom. You hear me? That corrupt family courtroom, the dependency court, is very, very, very corrupt. Mine was. However, because there's no jury, there's no one on your side unless you spend lots of money on a really good family attorney. They're far and few between. They're out there. You just have to do your research in order to find the very best attorney to bring your child home. Now, if you haven't allowed CPS into your home, you have a way better chance of never having to deal with them in court. Apologize for being so blunt about all this, but the family courts are broken. They do nothing by the book anymore. And most of all, the judges are there to take your child because they make lots of money to do so. I have one other thing to tell you. If they did already take the child away from you or the parents, then from this minute forward, you must record every single thing that happens from here on out. And I mean everything. Trust me when I say that. If you have every single illegal action these people did to you and your family on recording, it'll make things so much easier if you happen to lose your parental rights in that ridiculous courtroom and you take the next steps and take them to civil court of Supreme Court or even ever. The more exact details you have, the better the case will have against these creeps. I hope this helps. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions. I'm here for you. God bless sincerely, Emily. So that was amazing insight, but that's so true. It wasn't my case, and I know it's been in the case of over 900 of you. I know it has been. Now, she did talk about one thing to get an attorney. To get the right kind of attorney, you need to find one. Now, I have Vincent Davis, who is a very capable attorney for getting kids back. He was in foster care himself, so he knows the inside out. Now, he can be retained. All you have to do is call at 888-6582. That's the law offices of his. And you can say, I want to train Mr. Davis. Or you can get a free consultation with Mr. Davis for 15 minutes. All you have to do is be a guest on my podcast or call in on my office phone, 626-698-0990. Now, down below my screen, I've stated for $60, you can also book a discounted private Zoom meeting with Mr. Davis by going to the website. It's 30 minutes for $60. And the website, you just register yourself and pick the date and time. And there you can talk to him for 30 minutes. So those are two discounted ways that you can right now. Now you may say, well, I got a court-appointed attorney. They're going to do wonders. Well, I've got sad news to tell you. Those court-appointed attorneys are hired by CPS. They're hopefully you use them. Your children will use them. And because they are lazy, they will not fight your case. They're only schooled in criminal law, not in juvenile law or family law or dependency law. And they work for CPS, so they're not going to fight. And they're heavy burden with cases. They have 30 or more clients. And that's too much to be on top of it. So watch the court-appointed attorneys or public defenders. You need the real deal. You need somebody like Vincent Davis. And there's two important questions when you're searching for that attorney. Question one, you ask them quite up front, are you a professional legal juvenile law, family law, dependency attorney who has fought CPS and gotten children back? If the answer to that question is yes, you ask the second question. Have you ever, when a case is closed, sued CPS either in state court or federal court and got money back from the lawsuit? If their answer is yes, you got yourself a real winner and a good pit bull fighter. All you have to do now is set up a meeting with them, get the references from 3 people that use them, check out the references, see if the chemistry between you and Mr. Davis is good, and hire him. You will. I regret that I didn't hire him soon enough. I tried to fight him with a court-appointed attorney. I tried to fight them by telling the agency how bad and wrong they are. I had meetings with the director of CPS in Orange County. It was a hopeless nightmare. It wasn't until I hired Mr. Davis that I started to get some things happening. But unfortunately, the social worker was so corrupt that she lied under oath. She committed perjury. And she left the court embarrassed, and she said, I'm going to retaliate on you parents. You're never going to see your daughter again. And she tricked her daughter, convinced her daughter to emancipate from the parents. That means divorce your mom, your dad, your 3 brothers, 2 sisters, both sets of grandparents, aunts and uncles and cousins. She divorced everybody, and she was only 12 years old. She changed her name, and she had a beautiful name. Her middle name was Hanalei. It was a beautiful place in Kauai. Then she was told to seal her birth certificate, which she did. She got a new birth certificate and a new Social Security card, and she was double dipping from the old Social Security and the new Social Security. So she was getting more of my funds from my Social Security account that she wasn't supposed to. It was illegal. It was illegal. And sad to say that she got adopted by her foster care, and she's 22 now and wants nothing to do with mom and dad. She was gone at age 12. So for the last, 10 years, we've had no dealings with her. It's sad. I remember holding her and telling her that everything will be okay. I love my daughter. My wife loved her daughter, but we lost her daughter. That's the sad tragedy. Now, we were talking about more in depth of my rule number 1. And we're also doing the core digest. Now, here's another one from Emma. What tactics do CPS workers use to pressure parents into compliance. Manipulation, lies, and betrayal is what they do. They also have a big group of policeman buddies that like to follow them around to scare parents into opening their door to them. Do not be tricked by that tactic. It never works and it never will. The police cannot and will not do anything to you. They legally cannot. The only time they could is if a call put into the CPS call center was that of a true nature and a child or infant was inside that home being starved. See here. Starved, molested, beat up, or something of that ill and evil intent. Then a warrant would be issued and they would come into the home. Sadly, so many of these situations go unnoticed, and so many innocent babies and children die due to lack of information the CPS chooses to use to actually go after a real predator. Like I've said, broken and corrupt system that must be changed for a better family of safety for our babies, children, and issues. So that was another comment by Emma. That was really good. I really like that one. Now here's one from Tech Gal. And the question is what is the likelihood of regaining custody of your children from the Child Protection Services, CPS? How long does the process typically take? Now, this tech gal says I've been a foster parent for 20 plus years. Over that time, I've fostered 38 kids. If your children have been removed by CPS, the best thing you can do for yourself is my rule number one: get a lawyer. The goal in most situations is reunification. That should be the primary goal. For the kids to go back home, the state will develop a parenting plan for you to complete when, if it's completed, the kids go home. How long does it take is up to you. If you have a failed parenting plan, the state is likely to give you more changes to complete another one. If you're making progress and have failed multiple parenting plans, eventually the state will move forward with termination of your rights. But that generally takes a few years. State only moves quick to terminate if it's a case of extreme abuse or you're about to go to prison and the victim of the crime you're going is your kids. 85% of the kids who have been placed with me have gone home. So she says, being a foster mother, she has. Some I had for a few weeks, some I had for a few months, and some I had for a few years. 3 of my foster kids I adopted, and 2 of them I didn't plan on adopting them. It just fell into place that I did. My oldest adoptees was a temporary emergency placement as a newborn. She was only supposed to be with me for a weekend. I adopted her when she was 18 months old. She's 24 now and still here. My youngest adoptee was also temporary emergency placement, and she was supposed to be with me for 2 weeks. That lasted almost 5 years ago. She's now 7. One of my foster placements I had for 7 years, she was 11. When she was placed with me, she'd been in and out of foster care for a couple years before that. For whatever reason, her mom never lost parental rights. She'd go just enough on her parenting plan to not lose her rights, but not enough for reunification. The only reason her placement ended is because she turned 18 and aged out. She actually still lives with us. She's 21 now. Now, that is from a foster parent's view. As I say, there are good foster parents and bad fosters. We have a lady in here. Her name is Betty Jo. She's from Montana. She has a brother, and her brother's child is her niece. And this past week, she went down to Nebraska and drove her niece home to live with her up in Montana. She got custody of her brother's child. Her brother is just turned out to be really bad. He can't hold a job. He lives in his car. And he lost the child with his girlfriend at the time because they're living in a tree house in Nebraska. And of course, she didn't care and she disappeared from the picture. And her brother, she's tried to help out her brother, but she says he'll not see the child. But she has a really good success story. It's her niece. And I'm so happy for Betty Jo, and I want to thank her for sharing the time here on the podcast. Now, with that, rule number 2, the documentation, it's important that you hole punch all your documents, use a subject divider and divide them up, and you work on the incident time log. You want to have on the first line the location, the time, the date, and the people you talk to on the first line. On the second line is a summary of what the incident was about. The third line is the outcome. If you don't have the outcome, leave it blank and come back to it later. But it's real important that if you have your drug tests, you put them in your notebook. You have your program completion certificates or your parents' certificates. You put that in the notebook. You want to keep all your documents organized, your court papers, things like that. Because 9 months, you're not going to remember everything. And a year later, you're not going to remember everything. So it's so important to have your documents organized and placed in a notebook that you can pull things out, make copies of, or show them, or whatever. Now, I think we're going to look at another core digest here. Now, here's an interesting thing I found. This is from Kelly, who has been a foster parent. And the question is it possible for a biological mother to regain custody of her children after they've been taken by the child protection system and placed in foster care? Yes, it is possible. It really depends on the circumstances and the location where the children were taken. I only have experience in 2 states in the U.S., Indiana and Kentucky. Indiana has a process of 2 years to find stability for the children. In the first year, the active goal is reunify the children with their biological parents. I have a friend who lost her children to CPS, but with their help was able to get them back within a year. If the case with CPS goes into a second year, Then the goal shifts in a twofold process: reunification and adoption. The case that my husband and I were involved in went into the second year, and we were the adoptive parents in that case. In Kentucky, as foster parents, we saw multiple cases where the children were taken from their parents with good reason, then sent back before the parents were truly helped. We also saw children sent to family members who gave them back to the parents behind the backs of CPS. The whole process in Kentucky needs a lot of help, as I know multiple poor outcomes for children. That was an interesting thing there. Now, we had a lady named Faye Manling who is fighting double case of ammonia, and she's a remarkable woman, and she's now trying to protect her special needs son who's in his 20s. She's trying to get guardianship of there. She lost her daughter through no fault of her own. She happened to be in foster care by her mother that was very abusive to her. And she grew up in the foster care system and went through a lot of abuse. And a lot of crimes were committed against her. Fortunately, she got her high school GED, and then she got a degree in nursing. And she worked as a nurse. And she's a very intelligent woman. And she's been on my show on and off a bunch of times. But she said that Kentucky is really corrupt. Judges are corrupt. Attorneys are corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. And we think it's one of the worst states in the union for a CPS matter. Now, I have about 5 minutes left of my podcast. I have to end it at 8 o'clock sharp. And I've had no comments tonight, which is very unusual, but that's happened to me before. And it may be a bad night for people. I know the country's getting cold, and lots of people are fighting cold climates and so forth. But I want you to know out there is that don't give up. You know, you may seem hopeless, but there's people like you that are going through the same process. You just got to remember my 5 rules. Get that special attorney. Organize your documents. Say no to CPS and police, and don't let them take your child. Watch the medical trafficking. Don't let them take it. Research the internet thoroughly. Spend some time on it. And lastly, get all your documents copied and organized so that you have them handy. Now, I'm going to be on again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I'd love to have you join me in the morning at 10 o'clock. And on the weekends, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning. But every day of the week, I'm on at 10 o'clock. And at nighttime, it's always at 7 o'clock. There may be times I switch the times around. But I'm there for you, and I care about you. I really do feel that you're up an uphill battle of fighting these people. It really is. It really is. But like I say, I've been here every day, morning and night, for over 16 months. And I'm there for you. I want to answer your questions and your concerns. But don't talk to CPS. Don't give up your children. You have to fight them. In order to fight them, you have to have a qualified attorney. I know that money is hard. I had to sell my home, quick sell my home to get money to hire Mr. Davis. But I'm glad I did. He's an excellent attorney. Now, I'm going to take my phone number down because it's getting late. and I cannot really take any more phone calls. Now, I want you to know that no matter how bad it looks, I'm here. All you have to do is tune in to my live stream and ask me a question, and I'll answer it. I'll do my best to research and look it up. So you have yourself a friend in fighting CPS. You're not alone. I'm a fighter. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of common sense. And my experience in CPS has been over 15 years fighting them. And I've seen everything, I've heard everything on this podcast. People that have called in from other countries. It's a hard world out there, and you have to be really careful. You have to be really, really, really careful. So I want to thank you all for listening to me tonight. I want to see you tomorrow. God bless you all, and don't forget to keep fighting to get your children back. This is Bob Pace signing off, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.